listening to Achtung Millwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Birmingham. Accept no substitute.
Welcome, dear listeners. Welcome to the lazy, hazy, crazy days of midsummer. My name is Nick Hart. You're listening to nearly a midsummer edition of Achtung Millwall. And as you can probably see, this is a video edition. There is a reason for that. It's not just vanity to display some of the finest looking men unavailable at the Den. Taken, ladies, if you're watching out there. Although Harry's got blank screens, so that, I'm not sure what message that's sending.
Makes him instantly more attractive.
But joining me for this little review of the current Millwall scene is the man himself, all the way from an undisclosed location somewhere in the Essex hinterland. It's Harry Warren. Welcome to the show, H.
Thank you very much for that lovely intro. I thought we said we'd die before we did a video podcast, Nick.
Well, there is a reason. There is a reason.
It's hanging around with Byron Webster and Max on his other podcast.
There is a reason. Patreon.
No, I'm not going to go down that road. It's hanging around with the beautiful people of Millwall, listeners. That's why I'm going vid. It's not actually. We've got a little slideshow later on. It will become apparent. Also, whenever you get any emails, Michael, related to the podcasting scene, you're constantly being told that video is where the market is. You must know that with your Area of Town broadcasts. How are you doing, Michael Avery, by the way?
I'm very good. The one issue we have is that our background scenery is the incinerator in Thamesmead.
Glamour.
Oh, the Asda, was it Asda?
Yeah.
Morrison's, isn't it?
Yeah, down the back of by the swimming baths. Yeah, so yeah. Not as ideal as you think. What do they call Thamesmead? Is the Mauritius of South East London?
Malicious. That's what my nan used to call it when my uncle got married there. He got married in Malicious.
The malicious intent of Thamesmead.
Oh dear, welcome to the show, dear listeners. Welcome to this video edition. Like I say, there are reasons for it, and it's not the we're going to change direction. I might do a little bit of video content now and again. It's not going to be a video show. But I do want to mention, chaps, before we begin, we have just 4 weeks to go till the Mizzen Foundation's 24 Bridges walk, which Michael and Harry and Graham has also volunteered. And I think we're going to meet Ben Anthony along the route. And I saw Adrian Wisson's also on it, all in support of the excellent Jimmy Mizzen Foundation. I got to be honest with you, boys. I hadn't realised that 24 Bridges is near a marathon walk. It's about a 24 mile walk. I hadn't really taken that into account, chaps. And my training has fallen a little bit short of late, so I've got to get back into it in the weeks ahead. You looking forward to it, Michael? The walk. You run marathons for fun, don't you? You know, it's your pastime. It's your pastime.
I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a laugh, as we're aware, as listeners will aware. And I think Harry, this might be the first time you know about it. We're obviously doing the charity sweepstake of what bridge will Harry mention Neil Harris. So that's what I'm looking forward to. And it
was like a bingo call. At least they beat the clock.
And I've got the segways on high. You know, the ones where you hold on and you go along.
Zimmer on pride from me.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Good luck. It'll be good. And look, the main thing is it's a great cause. So
it's a fantastic cause. There is a district line station pretty much crisscrossing the bridges with us, H. If we fall short a little bit, mate, I must admit, my training lately's fallen a little bit down. How's yours going? You've done any training at all for this walk, this 20 mile walk?
Do you want the honest answer, or do you want the?
Well, honestly, we deal in honesty on this show.
Oh, well,
it's our slogan.
If I can't walk 24 miles without any training at 35, I'm in big fucking I've got bigger problems than on the day.
You'll feel it next day.
I'm sure I will. I mean, look, I think I've got a relative level of fitness in the sense that I'm not the fittest person in the world, but I'm not completely unfit. I've done a couple of 10Ks and 12Ks and whatever, just walking or whatever, but anything more than that, I'm sure I'll be fine. I'm not going to mention Neil Harris. I'll just mention the Saudis endlessly as a change of pace.
Oh dear. Let's move into the news. This is all generated. This series of stories generated, listeners, by ChatGPT, which I had a bit of a row with yesterday. I asked ChatGPT, AI listeners of viewers, I suppose. I asked it to give me the main Millwall stories because Richard Corley obviously is now no longer at the South London Press. We'll come back to that later. And it gave me a thing saying there are no Millwall stories at the moment. And I accused it of lying and misleading me. And what was its agenda, Michael? And it's one of these. It went into a kind of like a meltdown. It wouldn't answer me in the end.
I think it was still. I think Chat whatever it's called was trying
ChatGPT
was trying to bid on the Johnston Paint Trophy. That's
We're
up
going
for
to come back to
auction.
that.
So it was when it shut him up. I've put a pound on Lee Gregory's pants.
What a story that is, listeners. Stay tuned. We're going to be dealing in the full majesty of the Millwall auction later in this show.
Makes the club shop look like Harrods, doesn't it?
The Fulton Masons of Millwall.
Surely, I mean, in a summer of bizarre stories, that is one of the more bizarre things I've ever seen at the Den. But let's begin with some good news. New deal, new long-term deal. I suppose it's a rolling contract. I couldn't really think how to define it previously for Alex Neil, chaps. Good news, Harry. I mean, I think by pretty much common consensus, he's doing very well for us. And a rolling contract of some description as against whatever he signed previously. I don't think I read how long he had originally, but it's gone into some form of, for the foreseeable future, defined thing now.
I think it was 18 months originally.
Was it? Okay.
I think so. But, I mean, we never fucking learn. I mean, he's done everything right so far, and I'm not trying to say that. But I seem to remember Mr. G. Rowett have a rolling contract that got paid out, and that becomes a problem in football management. If you continue the sign rolling contracts and the mood changes, it becomes you have to pay them up for that entire time. So I don't want anything to go wrong. And yeah, in the short to medium term, yeah, great. He's done really well since he's come in. That's brilliant. But I don't really agree with a rolling contract. I'm sure that's to protect ourselves from anyone else coming in and maybe stealing him. It's very unusual that a Millwall manager gets stolen by other clubs wanting him. But
he's got to be one of the more stealable, though, Harry. I mean, certainly on current form
he's very
and current trajectories.
But he's very unfashionable, which is why he's here. He was seen at Norwich to be quite stodgy, and at Preston, fouled at Stoke, but that's no. Everyone fouls at Stoke. Let's be honest. Yeah. So from a let's all be honest kind of view, he's quite unfashionable. We're quite unfashionable. It worked. All of a sudden, if we're flirting with the playoffs, from minute one of next season, it'll suddenly be very fashionable, and maybe the club have thought that way, which is part of the new way of thinking of turning, milk into champagne, because that's what we seemingly are trying to do with everything from transfers to selling pieces of club memorabilia. But there we go. Apparently we're skinned. This is what it looks like.
Oh dear. Well, I mean, personally, Michael. I mean, I wasn't overstruck when he was first announced. I'll put my hand up, but then I don't know who, short of Jose Mourinho, might have really got my juices flowing in the wake of last season. But I've got to say, given the problems that he was dealing with, the injury list being the main one, and the introduction of and the development of players like Ivanovic, for example, but others too, I've really admired what he's done. And I must say, as Harry's just said, I mean, he didn't come to us with tremendously great vibes, but he's really taken root at the Den. I approve of this rolling contract. I imagine it's how you secured a better talent in football, I guess.
Yeah, the rolling contracts, I believe. I think this is another thing where people trying to copy other clubs and different models, because I believe the rolling contract thing is quite popular on the continent. I know that Guardiola didn't he always have rolling contracts when he was at Barcelona and Bayern and Man City and all these kind of things. I could be wrong, but I believe he did. But I think it's a great bit of business. Sometimes keeping your manager or keeping influential people at the club is as good as new signings. And I think with Alex Neil, let's not beat around the bush, Nick. Like I went Coventry away, as I said a couple of shows ago, recorded it for the podcast. That was the game before he came in. And I remember saying to you, fuck me, I'd have torn that contract up. You know, you're not managing this team, and you've got to remember as well. Not you two obviously, but the general, that when he came in, Alex Neil, this was when it was under this new business model at Millwall that we've not had before. So we didn't only just have the injury list problem, we also sold Romain Esse, who up until the point was like a really good player for us. He was doing fabulously well, player with the most potential. So not only have you got a reasonably unattractive, poorish side, you're not allowed to pick your signings. As previous managers, we were led to believe it was a bit like that as well. You've also sold your best player. So who would in reality would want to come in and do that job? Well, Alex Neil did. He came in, and I think the thing is what we always said under Gary Rowett. Harry, all jokes aside, I know you weren't his biggest fan, but I don't think he ever got the sort of respect he deserved, in the sense that we was always around with a sniff of the playoffs or the top 10 every season he was there. Alex Neil, similar job, but I think what's happened is he's come in, he's taken over a poor side who were poor when we had them, with a lot of injuries, selling their best players, got them to within a sniff of the playoffs again, and it's kind of been, well, that's a bit par for the course now. So I think he's done a great job. I think it's great job by the club.
I think I don't agree that we're a poor side. I think it was
maybe poor side's the wrong word, but at the time when he come in, we were poor.
we were on a poor run.
Yeah,
of
we
form.
were poor then.
I agree, but I think that's why we missed out. I don't think it was a very good championship. I think that's been proven. I don't think Sunderland are a great side to go up. I don't think the two teams in the bottom I don't think any of the teams in the playoffs were great. If I'm being totally honest. I think that was another one of the years, a bit like Luton when we missed out and Luton went up. That's another year where we should have been in there without, without what happened in terms of losing a manager and having 3 games that we lose with Dave Livermore. I think the club should look back and say we should have, if we knew Neil Harris was going, which was pretty much an open secret seemingly, with the benefit of hindsight now, the club should have moved quicker and made the decision quicker. Whether or not that would have been the right person, I don't know. After it's made that decision, Alex Neil's been a million times better in the sense than Gary Rowett for me, in just the style of football that he plays. I think there's a difference between I suppose it's the last non-Millwall connected manager that I can't even look at Joe Edwards as a Millwall manager. It was like a caretaker at the roughest comprehensive in the world, getting bullied every day that the caretaking teacher. Whereas
it was like Michelle Pfeiffer in Dangerous Minds, wasn't it?
I have no. It may be. I have no idea with that reference, Michael. But there we go. All I saw was the kid straight out of university being sent to the rough comprehensive and never seen anything like it. But going back to Alex Neil, just the I think the experience that he had, and also coming to us, he's bought into the working classness of the club and understand. The form at the Den is key for us. I know there's people that go home and away. Yeah, there's people that go away. Millwall were built on their own form traditionally, like in terms of successful Millwall sides. The home form was good. The away form, they picked up points. They were really, really good. The back end of the season, considering the injury crisis that we had as well. And I've got no problem in us keeping Alex Neil. I do have it's interesting what you said though, Michael, and I don't want to jump ahead. I'm presumably I am, but you said a very important point. It's very important to keep key characters around the place. We've kept one. that's it, in my opinion. But
as in Alex Neil, you mean, Edge? You mean Alex Neil was a key character?
Alex Neil's a key character because obviously he's the manager. But in terms of squad-wise, we've decided to not do that.
Yeah. All right, let's move along. Because that's also on my list of items to talk about. The big story, I suppose, at the moment, which ChatGPT didn't pick up on when I had my little row of it, was that Jules Saville has been released from, or the contractual negotiations weren't to either side's satisfaction. So Saville was moving on. Let's talk about Jules, because I think he's been a great servant. He's actually had four spells at the club over the years. He's probably the high point really for Saville was the run towards the Fulham game, boys, back in 2017-18. That generated that £8 million move on to Middlesbrough shortly after that season, I think. But he's been a great leader around the club, and 32, I think I read. And the deal being offered to him, obviously, he's bettering by going, we read, according to Rich Cawley to Luton Town. I wish him well, because he's got to look after himself, because that's the only person that will ever look after any of us in this life. But I think he is a bit of a leadership loss, Michael. How do you see the departure of George Saville, mate?
Yeah, I have to agree with that. He's maybe not as seen as governor, the old sort of Alan Dunn types, and Sean Hutchinson's, in that sort of mould. But he's certainly a player that you could tell the likes of Billy Mitchell would have learnt from, and some of the younger players
He
coming
set a
through.
tone, didn't he? Yeah, in
Yeah,
the dressing room.
he knows the club. He gets stuck in. He knows what the fans want, and when he went to Middlesbrough, fair play to him. We got a lot of money for him. He came back. I believe it
Yeah.
wasn't anywhere near what he went for, so you can say that's great business. Agent
Mm.
Saville getting a few quid in for us while he has a little holiday away up north. But I just, he always put in 100%. And recently over the years, maybe not so much last year because he did play a bit, but over the last couple of years, he's been a little bit in and out. But he's always put a shift in. He's always, as silly as it sounds, he's always been willing to get a card or two as well, to get the old professional fouls in when you need to. Some of the more modern midfielders don't like to do that and throw up a bit of a hissy fit. And he was one of these who, when it went wrong, he just rolled his sleeves up and got on with it. There was no fuss, no moaning, no groaning. And I don't know what the lengths of his contracts are going to be if he does supposedly go to Luton. But, Harry, you and I sort of disagreed on it slightly in our group chat a little while ago, but you hear these stories of footballers who will drop down a division because they're guaranteed a 3-year deal on X amount compared to a 1-year deal at a high level. It's football. Football's a short game, Nick. We've spoke about it before. It's a short career. You've got to do what's best for you. And
Yeah.
if you want to compare it to, like the world of the everyman work, it's the whole fixed term contract thing. Would you leave your job where you're full time to do a year fixed term with no guarantee it could be extended? Fair play to him. He's a good servant. He's not left under a cloud. He's done everything the right way. His comments when he left were brilliant. He seemed to know what it was like to be a Millwall man, and let's hope we give him a clap when the game starts if we play Luton and boo him throughout like we normally do.
Certainly hope so. I mean, Harry, I'm guessing he was one of the points you're making about the losing leadership or losing experience. I'm going to guess that was George Saville that you're hinting at there. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, it's criminal by the club, in my opinion.
Criminal? Would you go that far? Would you?
In what sense?
I would.
Really?
I would. Hang on, because Millwall tend to struggle when we don't have leadership. Hutch going, Wallace going, the other players that are going, and the fact that we will not have a number one goalkeeper starting at the next season, experienced in terms of that back four. And let's be honest, Tanganga's going. There's no way no one comes in at that release play from the Premier League. I'm sorry, that just doesn't not happen. So what we're saying is we're going to have big changes in the squad, which tend to go badly. I mean, I hope it doesn't happen, but we can only go by what has happened in the past that traditionally happens, right? In this sense, Saville was involved in 45 games out of 46 last season. So what we're saying is that we think that we can replace his leadership qualities and his football qualities in this truncated window, because the window is now shut again because of this weird Club World Cup, right? Yeah. So what we're saying is we, as Millwall Football Club, are going to be able to find a centre midfielder in the Championship that's going to play 45 games out of 46 and do what George Saville does in terms of all the dirty stuff off the ball, all that work that he does. I'm not saying that George Saville is a brilliant football player anymore at Championship level. I'm not saying he's a top 6 football player in the Championship, but if it is simply to do another season like what Sean Hutchinson did, now I'm not, across what we've offered him, but it must be, from my point of view, it must be either we've offered him less money than what he was on last season, presumably. Millwall only offer, standardly has been the case for a long time now, is that Millwall only offer 1-year deals to anyone over the age of 30. That's why Ryan Leonard signs a deal every year, for instance, right? And there's triggers with that. So Leonard, after playing 25 games last season, made sure he got his contract. Now, whatever's happened with Sav's contract, they've offered him a new contract. Sav's decided he's better off going to Luton. Fine, no problem with that from Sav's point of view. But the club knows when players' contracts are ending. You've got to have a strategy around leadership groups and so on and so forth. And it seems a little bit naive from the new leadership group running the club. You've got to praise Gallen for the players that they've got in, but unfortunately, but does stop with him of player retention as well. Is that I think we might have left ourselves a little bit light in centre midfield, because I wouldn't, as we stand at the moment, obviously long time to go before we kick a ball, but the fact that Billy Mitchell wasn't fancied for a long time last season, had a really bad season with injuries in and out, did come on strong in the running. I agree, but having three that play in the two, so Sav, Denor, and Billy Mitchell, was quite strong. I thought we were quite strong, realistically, in terms of working midfielders. We needed to add quality in terms of a creative midfielder, because we'd lost that with SA and Fleming going in back-to-back windows. So that's a totally different type of midfielder you're looking for. And that kind of midfielder tend to play on the continent a little bit more. So you sign Negley, who can play off the right, or you play in the centre. If you're going to try and sign, what I thought we needed was to sign someone maybe on loan for a season, or a youngster that's come out of an academy that can play the football, to do that while you've still got the leadership group there. Because I'm not being funny or anything. Every time I've watched Dan Kelly, and I'll be honest, it's only 6 times. I've watched him 2 in the first team and 4 times in the youth team. He looks like a boy. He's not ready for the championship in that hustle and bustle in that midfield. So you've got to sign someone with experience, and experience costs money. That's not part of the going forward and growing kind of experience. That's my opinion on it. I may be completely wrong. They may blow me away with who they sign. But if the idea is to get the average age, down and do that, that's fine. But again, like we said last season, when we started the season, the younger players weren't in the side straight away. Now, people will go, oh, that's because Harris doesn't play youth or whatever. But there may have been a bedding in period to standards, levels of fitness, speed of the game. All these kind of things that people, fans in general, don't tend to take into account, because we've spent £4 million on a player. They must be the best player we've ever signed in the history of mankind. Even sort of Alex Neil alluded to that, talking about Negley. We just need to be careful not to overdo sort of a turnover of players, staff, backroom staff standards, because that's when it goes wrong. That terrifies me back to sort of Willie Donachie, Kenny Jackett, 25 new players, Tom Brighton. I'll name worse players than that, but do you know what I mean?
There's a name I haven't heard of in a while, Harry. Tom Brighton,
Exactly.
blimey. Yeah. I'll take your point. Harry. I'm just looking at some of the other. I mean, to bring the age of the squad down, I think is no bad thing. Sean Hutchinson, I think everyone expected him to be let go at the end of the season. He was saying as much when he was at the dinner event the other few weeks ago. Now, Duncan Watmore is no surprise. I think Murray Wallace is a surprise. Evan Connolly never really took off. I thought he has potential, but he's got other stuff to deal with in his world. I mean, there is a danger of lack of experience. I do take that point. The chat GBT makes the point to us listeners. This signals a deliberate rebuild, with Alex Neil aiming to bring in fresh talent. Michael, fresh talent is what we want.
That's kind of what I was going to say. Sorry to interject there, but you're saying about the leadership, Harry, and I get it, and I do. And I get you need to have some people around who are able to give advice on that stuff. But to a point, do we not think, in a way, we've learnt from the Sean Hutchinson and Murray Wallace experiment last year, in the sense that they were there, they were part of the squad, they had leadership. But but from a business point of view, we were paying them as players and they never played.
Yeah, I agree. But do you still think Sav plays in this side as we sit at the moment?
Well, that could be what a negotiation is. A negotiation could be half price, 1 year deal, and you're only going to play 20 games.
Yeah,
and it
depends whether it suits Sav, doesn't it? I mean,
I think that's where it comes. I think that's generally where it comes to. Now, again, there's only one. If they get it wrong, there's only one set of people to blame. That's what
we don't know what he's been offered at Luton, and we don't know if over what period of time. If he's financially better off there, then he will take it. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't?
Exactly. I'm not blaming Sav in this scenario. I'm saying that if you are going to have this turnover, you best have a fucking good plan. That's kind of where I'm coming from. Again, the proof of the pudding's in the eating. I'd love to be wrong, but I can't see. You're letting go. I'm massively worried. down the spine of the side. The goalkeeper, we haven't got one because Evans isn't a number one, or you wouldn't have expected him to be a number one.
He's rumoured to be joining Mansfield anyway, according to Rich Corley. Just leaping around the agenda, so I'm just going to bring in some of the posts that Rich has put on. He's obviously no longer working with the South London Press listeners, but he is posting under his own steam as a freelancer, pretty much. But on the goalkeeping point, Harry says Millwall are open to all options, both loan and permanent, as they look to bring in a goalkeeper. They rate Lucas Jensen really highly, so a tricky position to fill, he says, when it could only be relatively short. I don't know how long Jensen is out for. I think a chunk of the new season.
Well, Scott Carson just got released by Man City, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't really want a geriatric goalkeeper in goal, to be honest.
It was about 85.
Yeah, it must be about 37. He's older than me.
I'll give it a go, boys. I'll give it a go.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, is it not time for Lurch to take over a playing role? He's done every other role at the club. But seriously, like, if you take that into consideration, and Tanganga probably going, then
with his release calls of 1.2 million listeners, viewers, yeah. Will attract Premier League attendance. I think for it's 1.2 million for Premier League only.
I think there's an element there, Harry, where I agree with you. I think the problem you've got is with the George Savile thing. No matter what happens, let's not beat around the bush. Whatever was offered, if anything was offered, it wasn't what he wanted. So he went, and with the Tanganga thing, I think I saw Phil Clark mention it, Nick. Or he was definitely involved in a conversation with it, and I think it was Phil who made the good point. Everyone's banging on about this release clause. Would we have been able to sign Tanganga if it weren't in there?
Oh no, I agree.
Almost certainly not, Michael.
And even if he does go this year, it won't be great because he was our player of the year and everything that came with and every accolade. But what a year we've had out of him.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, 18 months because we had the end of last season under the run. But let's be honest, the 1.2 million probably accounts for his wages over the last year.
Possibly,
we wouldn't have paid all.
And the reason why he signed, Harry, if he knows he's got that as a route out after a showcase year, which is effectively how he's handled, which is a shrewd move on him and his advisor's part, then it's a win-win, really. I mean, I know it's hard to look at it that way because football fans are emotional creatures, but I think we've actually both sides have got a benefit out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. My thing with him is that he'll probably go to one of the promoted sides. I can imagine Leeds or Sunderland both quite fancying him. That's my opinion. He seems right for a short for a Scott Parker, boring 0-0 every week. Trying to win by one goal.
He seems like a Wolves type player to me, to be honest with you.
Do you reckon? Well, after they've gone from a high low, they can fuck right off.
Well, good luck to him anyway. Wherever he goes, I think he's done a great job. Player of the season, you don't get that for no reason. So we'll see.
And to be fair, at least the club knew, so they've done the right thing by signing Kramer, who we haven't really seen play a lot in his position.
Chosen position. No, that's right. That's right. I just want to run around a couple of the other points from Rich because we've got a slideshow for your viewers featuring some of the pick of the Millwall auction. So I don't want to lose out on that. And I've only got these boys for their lunch hour.
I really need Aaron Paul at this point to go how much. That's
Zach Sturge, Rich Crawley says that he's been told the deal is in a good place, quote. So sounding like a strong choice. I think that'd be a great signing if we can get Zach. I thought he impressed for me last season. Exactly the kind of player we should be after.
And anything that gets rid of Joe Latte Bryan from my.
I thought he actually improved though.
Were you even watching the games last year? Joe Bryan was arguably one of our best
players. Larry, I think he came on strong. One of the players who's benefited from Alex Neil.
On the last 3 months of the season, he was decent. I will say that. But for the rest of the start of the season, he was honking, absolutely honking. And,
he turned it around.
Yeah. Well, if we had another left back, would he have actually got back into the side? Would have been my argument because off that left hand side, realistically, the whole left hand side was awful last season until 3 months from the end. But Sturge is, to me, Sturge is more of a wing back than a left back, if that makes sense, which opens sort of different options tactically for us a bit.
That's a good signing, Michael. I mean, you agree, Zach Sturge, good signing if it comes to pass, as Rich seems to be hinting at here. He also mentions Josh Coburn. Apparently, plenty of transfer interest in Josh Coburn. Middlesbrough not in a position to make a call on the former Millwall loanee until they've had a new boss in place because Michael Carrick was dismissed. Apparently, a lot of interest in Josh Coburn. I mean, for me, he's a fairly straight down the line, maybe old-fashioned blunderbuss striker up front. I don't know that he's the best striker I've ever seen in my life. He certainly, I wouldn't put him in the same category as, for example, Mihailo Ivanovic, who apparently is attracting Wolves' interest, as Harry's said. But apparently other clubs like the look of him. I suppose there's a role in the game now for the big, chunky striker H up front.
Yeah, I mean, the difference is if we don't go for him, we need to go for somebody else because we've only got one striker.
Well, we've got AJ Matthews, but we haven't seen him.
Yeah,
So we don't know.
no, we haven't seen him. We've got Lovelace and we've got
Yeah.
the other one that I can't remember.
Bobby Benicio.
That one who I've never seen.
No, I've never seen him. No.
But let's get it right. Macaulay Langstaff and Kevin Nisbet, I don't think are the answer. Or if they are the answer, it's the question of where will they move to, somewhere in Scotland or back to League Two.
But with Nisbet, was he sort of sent back or was he recalled? I can't remember.
I think
he's back with us now, isn't he? He's back with us contractually.
Was it a loan deal that they could have turned permanent but chose not to? Because if you can't do it up there, you won't be able to do it in the Championship.
I think he scored some goals. I don't know if it was just to get him out on loan. I don't know if there was anything actually like this is your option to sign him. But he's out of contract in a year, and if you look at Kevin Nisbet's career, if you take it, when he signs a 3-year deal, he doesn't tend to score any goals in the first season, nor the second, or starts scoring goals in the second half of the second season and scores goals in the third season. So, you know, the more cynical view would be that he plays for contract to contract. Now, he's about to be in his last year. Maybe he turns into the best player in the Championship. I doubt it. And it would be good maybe if we could get some kind of money back for him. Langstaff, the experiment. I totally get the experiment. I don't think it's worked. I think
no, it was a gamble worth taking, Harry, but it didn't work. Did it?
I think the kind thing would be to put him out to pasture somewhere. I think that would be good for him as well.
Yeah,
whether that happens or not, I don't know. And you know, other than that, he's not done anything. He's not been a wage thief. He's tried when he come on, just not at the level. That's
not good enough.
That's it. I don't think there's anything wrong in that, and I don't really blame the club for taking someone who scored the amount of goals that he had done. It's the kind of stuff that we used to moan about the club not doing. So I'm not going to tell them off for going lower down and having a punt. So you know, it is what it is. We lost. For everyone that you win, you're going to lose some. Look at, you know, we took a punt on Aziz, and I think he's turned out to be brilliant. And it's the same with a few of the others. So you know, you're going to get one wrong eventually. So you've got to let them have that.
Yeah, so be it. I mean, Michael, the Ivanovic interest, I'm just looking at my notes here, interest from Wolves apparently quite well publicised. That's going to be an interesting call by the club because it clearly, if we sell him, for whatever, who knows how much, you know, if we sell him, that fits in with the business model that we're now committed to. Equally, I would have thought from Mihailo's point of view, it would benefit him from having a full season with a manager that clearly rates him and wants to play him and he's been scoring goals and, you know, and all the rest of it. You'd have thought it'd be more beneficial to the boy to stay at the Den, but it's going to be an interesting drama that plays out over the next few weeks, months.
Yeah, it's starting to have a slight whiff of Mr. Fleming, isn't it? A little bit, you know, he's coming a little bit unknown, come in, absolutely set the place alight, bang some goals in, starting to get some interest.
Some international interest, you know, Serbian caps and all the rest of it. I'd say Mihailo seems hungrier than Fleming. Do you agree?
To be fair to him, yeah. To be fair, he was, when he first signed, you know, wasn't highly thought of.
No,
and he's coming in. He's absolutely turned it around. So he's got a pair on him as well, the boy. You know, a lot of other people, especially somewhere down the Den, they might have buckled under that kind of pressure and that sort of feedback that they were getting. But again, as we said earlier on with the George Saville moving on and other players coming in, it is the project. I mean, what did we get him for? A couple of mil, didn't we? Which, you know,
I think
it's
a
small change. if you've got a Premier League team coming in from him, and I know a double figure striker in the Championship should get you 20-25 million, depending on what club you're buying them for and their length of contract. But if we can get anything around 7-8 again for him, it's the business model, unfortunately, dear
Nah,
listener.
that's Mike. That's remarkably. What business school did you go to? That's ridiculously low.
Thames
That's not.
Business School.
That's not.
Harry,
That
it's
I agree. I
ridiculously
agree.
low. It's ridiculously low. But what we turned down for Fleming, and then we got laughed at the place.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, the sensible thing is the kid's about to play in the under-21 championship in Serbia, which starts today. England are
Yeah.
involved, as are other clubs. If he scores against Italy, Poland, whatever, Lazio are apparently interested in him. There's other clubs that are apparently interested in him. If Millwall take less than 10 million for him, considering the fact that he scored 12 goals, then we might as well pack up as a club and go home.
No,
Because
I agree. I know. I do agree.
because the thing will never work. The point with the SA deal, everyone says how much money it was. It's not that amount that's quoted because the player gets a cut, as does the agent. So it'll be less than what was quoted, right? And the same with the Fleming deal,
absolutely.
right? Right. That's the business of football. The problem with selling Mihailo compared to the other ones is that strikers go for the most money. Everyone knows that, right? So in terms of he's hit the bottom starting, I know you're saying, yeah, Mill look at it, they've made 3 times the money on him. But the problem with that is then you've got to go, everyone now will start doing what Millwall are doing. Everyone else does what we do with more money to base. The only way you have to sign 3 or 4 of these a year and sell 3 or 4 a year. The best people at it by far are Brighton and Brentford, right? Everyone's looked at their model. It's gone really well. They've even got to a point now where Man United are trying to sign an Mbuimo, like 3 years after presumably that was the peak of when they could have sold him because of the age he is. You've got to take into account Mihailo's age, the fact that he's only going to improve. I don't mind selling him for 10 million. I don't mind selling him for 12 million if we do the sensible thing like other clubs do and go, well, we get this much out the next transfer. That makes sense because if he keeps scoring goals like this, his end club will not be Wolves, right? And it's very un-Wolves, to be honest, to sign a Serbian. They normally sign Portuguese players, blah, blah, blah. That's part of their business model and who owns them. Yeah. The simple thing for me is that Millwall can only sell Mihailo if they have a replacement that they are confident in the sense that because he is now with other players leaving and with Tanganga possibly leaving, he's going to be held up as the poster child of next season by Millwall fans. That's just what's going to happen. The difficulty in, as you're rightly saying, it's we've lost out on Fleming before and we held on to Fleming. The argument would have been if we didn't keep Fleming, would we have got relegated? The relegation is £6 million normally between Championship and League One. That's how much you tend to lose in revenue. So will the club go, well, actually we lost 6 million there, but we saved it by not getting relegated, so I'll be happy with that. That possibly the amount of goals that he scores in a side that we don't score many goals in, is it worth taking that risk for 12 million? Because you might lose 6 million by getting relegated if you don't score the goals.
Yeah, when I said the 8 million, that wasn't me saying that's what I think he's worth in today's market. I think like I said, a double figure striker in the Championship, under 21 international team who finishes in the top 10 is worth more than that. But what I'm saying is, it wouldn't surprise me if we did sell him, it would be for that amount of money. But even if we did, in line with the business model that we've got at the moment, that's still a return of what, 3-4 times.
Yeah,
that's
We
just
shall
the point I'm
see
making.
a drama for the next couple of months, listeners. I'm just looking at AI's recommendations for potential signing targets, one of which I love because I think I can set myself up as AI in that case. It says non-league stroke unknown striker. Alex Neil hinted he's searching for another Ademola Lookman style signing. I would have thought every manager or every recruitment team in the country is looking for an Ademola Lookman style signing, particularly from non-league ranks. I think we'll probably leave AI to its rightful place there, dear viewers. Just one other, just before I close this little bit, one of the interesting names, and this is not a name that's known, it's a new scout, apparently Patrick Ryan, who sounds like he should be writing thriller writers. Patrick Ryan is set to leave his role as Crystal Palace's scout, Harry, and take on the main recruitment role at Millwall. He previously worked with Steve Gallen at Charlton. I don't know the name. I don't know if he's known in the football scene, but I suppose you'd be looking at Crystal Palace's track record of signing talent, Harry. I mean, that's the kind of aim of that move there, to bring this Patrick Ryan in. I don't know anything more about him. It's just an interesting move, I thought.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. A bit like yourself. I don't
Never
really know
heard
what.
of him.
I don't really know what to add. My problem with all of this, and I'll go back to this, is it's all right doing it at Palace and Charlton and whatever. The elephant in
Yeah.
the room is that our facilities at younger team level to sign these kids at 14, 15, 16 are shocking, right? They are bad, right?
Helmut
You know,
Roachman.
yeah, it's bad, right? And let's make no doubt about it that the original idea was we were supposed to be out by Brands Hatch by now, which seemingly
It's
has
abandoned
disappeared.
pretty much, isn't it?
Yeah, right. So it's very difficult for Millwall to compete in those circles against London clubs with West Ham, Palace, even Charlton now, right? Because they've got the shiny, as I take it, as I look at my pack of Panini stickers for this Club World Cup that's got Gianni Infantino with a shiny sticker off his bald head. This is what down with the kids as we're doing this on video.
Well, we are. This is we're
exactly
going
right.
TikTok, Harry. We're going to go
It's
TikTok.
about
We're
it's
going
I've got a little bit of this in the female game, is that there are girls that leave clubs that are playing first team football to go to more Instagram friendly clubs to play in their reserve teams. I'm not saying this carries on to men's football so much, but if you can take them to the shiny new academy where you can get your flat white, which will impress Joe Bryan. You can get your flat white, and you can get your Apple, and you've got the training station and the mental health hub and all that, compared to Millwall, where you get, with the greatest deal of respect to him, you get Lurch on the desk saying welcome to Millwall Football Club. It's
There's a
going to be a
McDonald's
little
around
bit,
the corner.
oh, yeah, absolutely right, but it's going to be a bit different. The club have done a magnificent job over the last sort of 18 months to 2 years of regenerating around the den, and they've done really well with that. Maybe it's time to maybe have a look at what they can do with tempting those type of long-term project players into the club. And I think that's realistically what we've got to do, because the youth team seem to be successful, and we do get a few coming through, but maybe not enough to be as good at this Brentford model or Brighton model as we need to be to make it a full sort of sustained success, if you know what I mean. And I think Mike gets what I'm trying to get at there.
Yeah. I think the thing is as well, just quickly, Nick, you've just put up the most Alan Partridge slide I think I've ever seen in my life. Talking about the
At Millwall for sale. I was going to put
Well,
Millwall fire sale, but I think the spell check has done me in there.
the space between sale and ... really highlights it for me.
Oh, the grammatic. Oh, blimey. Well, if it's being picked up on my grammar now, listeners. I find this auction one of the. I thought the Saudi takeover, which seems to have gone very quiet. So who knows where that's going to go? I thought that was one of the most amusing things I've read in a long time in then.
Did you see the video
history?
where it goes like when it said that they're trying to buy Millwall to clean up their image?
Yeah,
yeah,
I did
very well. Online comedian done a really nice job on it. I can't think of the chap's name now, but very well done. But the Millwall auction is surely a contender for funniest move by the club for a long time. It's got a strange vibe. It feels like we've had a warehouse burned down and we've retrieved a few bits and pieces for a fire sale. When you look at some of the items on there,
it's like people on Vinted. It's a boot sale,
not?
Let's not beat around the bush.
That reminds me slightly of something out of Phoenix Nights, like the lights have come down. It's like, can you tell me why there's a child's bike on the wall? Like it's very like that.
I mean, what I want to say to the viewers, I keep saying listeners, the viewers of this show, is there is some decent stuff on there. If you're looking for,
no, there's not.
Well, if you're looking for memorable, there's a mix of decent stuff and tap. Tut, I think, is a technical expression. He got like framed photos of old teams, 1930s players, signage that might be of some interest to people. If that's your thing, it's not my thing, but some people like it.
Yeah,
And then you've got the likes of
on the toilet door. I've put Millwall's
gents,
changing room.
chairman's room. I've seen, but then you
No,
do
I
have
really-
stuff like this that is fascinating. Viewers, we're selling a light fitting and other fixtures and fittings from the den, and then you can bid on lot 436.
How much are they going for?
I'd want to be.
Why
Why would you want that?
Total.
If you're not going to use that, and you probably shouldn't do because it's second-hand electrical gear, and I don't know if it electrically conforms to the regs on this kind of thing.
That looks like that's something out the
electrician.
back of someone's van early morning on a
I'll tell you
Sunday
this
that's
now.
been nicked at a boot sale. That's off the back of. I'll tell you what that reminds me of. That reminds me of B&Q stories from the past. I won't mention the player, but you all know
This
exactly
is
who I mean.
No,
so
I'll tell you
tawdry,
this
so
now.
tawdry to be selling this. But anyway, yeah, go on, Michael.
I'll tell you this now. If I bought that and won that, my lights would be on 24/7, and everyone who come in my house, I'll be going.
How would you know that light fitting is from the den? What difference would it make to you? I mean, I'm going to guess it's some kind of communal light of some sort from one of the kind of walkway areas of some sort around the state. I'm guessing. I don't know what it is. How would you know that was from the den? What difference would it make to you?
They're actually from the boardroom. They've witnessed Joe Edwards' coat walk underneath them.
Oh, but this is the kind of tawdry level that some of this is at, listeners. As I say, I will repeat, there are some decent items on there, but we'll try to pick it.
Do you know what makes you laugh? The watermarked Millwall badge to make it.
Yeah, don't you go stealing that for your meme, Michael Avery.
I'll tell you what.
This is a trademarkable football.
I love this one. This is the one I love. This is my favourite. The skeletal and muscular diagram poster from the medical room at the den. And again, they've watermarked it with a lion just in case you should lift that. And that's a kind of, it's got half a skeleton and a half muscular.
Presented with is that a certificate of authenticity and an asset?
Yeah. Well, it's all about veracity, Harry. It's because I could rustle up any old muscular and skeletal diagram. I'll go down to my doctor's if I could get an appointment and probably lift one of theirs. I could present that and sell it as one from the den. How would you know? It's got to be verified, and that's what you're going to get with this.
Are they cheaper than that on Amazon, or is that cheaper?
That's starting. Do I hear a tenor out there, listeners?
Do you remember the old den, Nick? Like a bit before Harry's time.
I do.
But do you remember when they pulled that down? I always remember I took a penalty on the pitch against someone. I can't remember who it was now.
Yeah.
It was about 5.
Yeah.
But they were selling the squares of the pitch, weren't they? And you could have them in your back garden.
Well, there was a mob invasion at the end of the game against Bristol Rovers, and the only time I've ever been on a pitch, I generally don't do stuff like this, listeners. I'm a law-abiding soul. Anyway, I went up. I nicked a bit of the turf.
He was on
Mr. Bye for now.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Leading the mob, leading the extra. Mr. Bye for now was doing his nut because he was saying we've got a game tomorrow morning, and they were nicking the posts and the turf, and we're selling the turf. No, not much sales going to go on there. This is sold as part of the interior refurbishment of the Barry Kitchener stand, and we're presented with a certificate of authenticity and an asset tag. If you're interested, it's tenner's the opening shot for that, listeners. Now, I sincerely, does it say that it's been dry cleaned on this, Michael? There's a duvet, double bed duvet set. I don't know where this would have come from.
I was going to say, where's that?
I don't know.
They've just opened what I generally believe they've opened.
A double bed, Harry. It's not.
No, but I don't actually think it's. I think that is from the club shop that they've just put somewhere, then found it and have chucked it online because they don't own the shop anymore. It's all done by fanatics. So that's like old stock that they've found, and they're just selling it as part of the auction. There's nothing else, is there?
With the watermark.
It's claimed to be from.
Included.
It's claimed to be from the Barry Kitchener stand with a certificate and an asset tag. I can't imagine where you might have a kit down in let alone with double bed. Get a little hot and heavy with your lady in a Barry Kitchener stand, unless there's special kind of corporate boxes that I don't know about in there. But anyway, there you can. I presume that's new.
That's the golden sponsorship this year, Nick. That's why they didn't sell as many.
This one doesn't really.
Is that part of the 1885 club? Is that part of that?
With your tin, you get a duvet set, and you can spend the night there.
That Chinese scarf. Do you remember?
You can, if you choose, dear viewers, buy a previous. How many regeneration plans have we been through in my life, listeners? I can think of about 2 or 3 different regeneration plans that have never happened, and you can buy the 2006 version that never happened.
You'll find Peter the Savoury copy of the regeneration.
You know what? I would have actually bid on the shirt that Peter the Savoury wore over his suit.
Whatever became of that?
Telling me a vital lesson at 16 that you should never wear a football shirt if you're over sort of, I don't know, 12
Did he
stone.
promise? He promised European football in 5 years, didn't he? So we're going to win it. We're going to win it, I think, weren't we?
Yeah, and
The
then
European Cup.
he promised that he promised we'd be in he promised we'd be in a different
Premier
division.
League.
Right?
Yeah.
No, he didn't say Premier League. He said different division, and by the end of the
Well,
season,
he got that right. We were in the league.
Yeah,
He
relegated.
certainly got that.
And we had an international game against Sierra Leone in the unit in the Community Cup. So he lived up
and we've
to his
won
promise.
that, and we've
Yeah.
won that, and that is part of the club's listed honours on Wikipedia.
That's hilarious, honestly.
This regeneration plan has probably got like lipstick of Heather Rabats on the back page. I don't know that. There we are. You can bid, viewers, if you should so choose, for the Johnston's Paint Trophy 2015-16 Team of the Round winner, which was Millwall FC. I can't remember who we beat that in that season.
Was that the one? Is that the one against Bournemouth? Where we scored like 4 goals, 3 of them.
No, that
I'm going to have a quick
That
look.
was the League Cup. That was the Neil Harris hat-trick, wasn't it?
Keep talking, boys. I'm going to quickly try and look up on the Millwall history files.
We're just going to comment and keep guessing what.
Keep talking what game is. It was Team of the Round.
So it would have been someone in League 1 or League 2. So they're shit.
The bit that gets me is the picture's the wrong way around.
Is it reversed?
No, they've taken the photo around the wrong way because the
trophy's the wrong way around.
Yeah.
No, we put 5. We put 5 past Plymouth Argyle in the 3rd round of the Johnston's Paint Trophy.
How could we forget that?
Who scored? Aidan O'Brien.
5-3 over Plymouth Argyle. Let's see, I've got the scorers here. Hang on, let me just.
We have a guess. Aidan O'Brien, Jed Wallace,
Lee Gregory, Shane Ferguson. Wrong game. Gregory, hat-trick for Lee Gregory, 4 goals for Lee Gregory, and Aidan O'Brien. That was a game after that. So
shouldn't the club just give that to Lee Gregory? That'd be quite.
I would give that to Lee.
4 goals rather than starting with a bid of 20 quid.
If he should so want it.
Send that to Halifax somewhere for Lee Gregory to have.
It's an obscure bit of memorabilia.
Yeah, and in the photo of him receiving it, he should hold it the wrong way round.
Some terrific comments on there. I think the skeletal diagram, was it Ed Castle, I think, said, "What's the matter, babe? Don't you like my skeletal from the den?" Put it on your front room wall. This one, the Metropolitan Police wall plaque, Michael, from the Mill FC Stadium. What is that?
I suppose that's one of the good things we got from the police over the years, isn't it? But yeah, you know, when you look at it, you're like,
that's all the overtime that we've ever given them.
We played a friendly against them to say thank you for all the years worth of overtime and public indecency.
Why have we got a wall plaque from the police?
This is there with the blow-up dolls and the broken lawnmower engines from Fools and Horses, isn't it? It really is.
Wonderful stuff. I mean,
is this at the back of Dell's lockup by any chance? Have we had a look for a pocket watch?
You starting bid. There's a 10. I think we might struggle to get that 10 for that one.
And the
but
thing
anyway,
as well, no offence, you know people are going to buy this.
Yeah.
Some people collect it. What you would do with it, unless you got like a I don't know, a man cave, end of your garden. You got a big outbuilding or something. You might stick it in. I don't know what you might do with it, or bar.
This is the kind of shit that would have used to have turned up on the Blue on a Tuesday, and people would have gone, "Where the fuck have you got that from?" And legitimately asked the question.
I mean, like I say, there is some decent stuff on there. This is. Well, framed shirts. I mean, there's always a market, and people. And I saw some photos of old time players, black and white, 1930s and so on, bits and pieces like that. And this is a shirt embroidered with the JGB logo, Husky chocolate shirt, which again are invited bids. I'm fascinated why we're doing this, Michael. we're refitting the den. I get, but we seem to be slinging a load of stuff away there.
Yeah, I mean,
Getting some money for it.
it's
Sunday morning
it's a really
boot
odd
fair.
one. It really is an odd one. And the thing is that like we're laughing and joking and we're messing about and all this and you know, but with a serious head on, it's what are we getting rid of? You know, like some of the stuff that they're getting rid of. It is but that's my point. It's like like the John Berylson frame shirt. Okay, we can get that because it's a nice commemorative item. You know, the things from the past, the frame photos, noise. But then it's like and then I saw like a chair from like the media room and all this.
Yeah, I
and
saw
like,
that.
and
You can get like for your dining room. You can have like a dining room chair from the.
Has graced this chair. You can sort of guess from the
Yeah, no,
past. Razor Ruddock
Harry,
sat here once.
Yeah, like Harry. All jokes aside, though, mate. It's like.
Oh, it's cringe as fuck, mate. I agree.
But also it goes back to it. It's like with the auction, like so say that JGB shirt, right? Now I know you obviously don't want to price people out and working class backgrounds and you know cost of living, etc., etc. I get all that because we're all living it, myself included. But it's like something like that. If you're going to auction a really good high profile item, starting bid £20.
Why that? Yeah. Well, also the other question is.
Yeah,
Nick, you went to the end of season players do,
yeah, I did,
and
yeah,
I say this is nice. The tables for that are not cheap, ladies and gentlemen.
They're very, very expensive.
Right. So the kind of Millwall fan that could possibly afford that may have been the market you may have been wanting to go to there, Michael. I totally understand where you're coming from. They are more likely to be able to bid on that than you know your average punter who pays. You know, who can only afford to go to maybe 5-10 games a season in the CBL upper. You know what I mean? I'm not taking the mick out of anyone. I'm just saying that I think you're right, but you've got to know your market. Whereas almost, I'd rather you make more money on that and not sell the light fittings that make us look like Dog and Duck FC than sort of charge £20 for a JJB shirt. It's just very odd. Maybe the Saudis have seen this as an investment model they can get behind. They'll be selling shares in players or something.
And it's like also as well. It's like I think there was one of them that was like the husky chocolate bread thing, and it's like you are. And I know we've joked about the light things, but it's like. You are literally selling everything. Like you're thinking, you know, like there's a bit where you think, do you know what? How much would it be to hire a skip?
To be honest, they probably need to sell the Husky thing because they're not getting any money out of the defunct Husky brand who owe I think IndyCar millions of pounds. They own McLaren Formula One millions.
I just want to know how much one of the Euro ferries are.
Well, I was just going to say that they joined Euro ferries in the long line of Millwall sponsors that never were. I do wonder whether
for pay up front from these sponsors. I think that might be the idea.
Like a petrol station.
Any chance you can actually pay us for a sponsorship?
yeah.
Pay for your petrol before you put it in the car after a certain hour, you know.
Lurch, take your lanyard off, mate. We've got to flog that as well.
The whole fire sale quality of it is really. I mean, I'm just wondering whether it could be very Millwall, Harry, for us to have chosen the few Saudi Arabians that are skint, and maybe they do need that tenner for the Johnston Paint Trophy.
I have got an image of us selling the club to them, right? And I've got an image. It's going to be like, do you remember when Notts County got bought out by the bloke that never had any money, and they ended up with Sol Campbell, and then they were paying the players but not paying the bill. So
Sven.
I get the feeling that we'd be like that because you go, surely the club's clever enough to have done its due diligence. This club sells light fittings through like a global auction site. This club does no due diligence, with the greatest deal of respect to everyone there.
We don't like to plug other pods too much, do we, chaps? But I have to say, like you mentioning that, Harry, there was a really good podcast a few years ago. Sports Strangers Crimes for the BBC, and it was like a 6-parter all about that Notts County thing. And I'll tell you what, you think at times we're run weird. You want to listen to that, but Sol Campbell walking in next day, see you later. I'm off. You know. But anyway, Sol
Campbell in general is a strange man. So him being involved in the story somehow gives it some kind of credibility.
Yeah.
Chaps, we've reached the hour point. I think we've probably done the auction and we've done the Millwall news such as there is for the moment. I want to say a big thank you to Harry and to Michael for joining me respectively for this lunchtime recording. Big thank you, boys. So good to see you again. We'll be catching up soon at the end of the month for the walk, won't we? So just to repeat, the Jimmy Mizzen Foundation 21 bridges, or was it 24 bridges? Well,
24
can't
bridges.
remember.
No,
You're right,
24 bridges.
You're right,
Isn't it
Pidgey,
21?
not 4 off.
I think
I'm
the
trying to bring it down.
weren't the options 7, 14, and 21, or am I wrong?
Yeah,
Is
well,
it 7, 14, and
Muggins went for the 24 anyway. But I'll be seeing you both at the end of the month for that. Also, a big thank you to everyone for viewing this edition. I think there will be an audio edition goes out as well. You'll miss out on all the wonderful items from the Mill auction. But from Harry, from Michael,
Wonderful.
and from my good self, it's Arrivedeci Millwall. Bye for now.
You're listening to Achtung, Millwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Birmingham. Accept no substitute.